It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you doing today?
Fine. Happy to be here. I missed yesterday. I was a bit...
Oh, yes. You were away.
Yeah. But I'm back with a bang. Welcome. Welcome back. Thank you.
Good. I love your hair. I always love this hair when you use it. So how was yesterday? We had a photo shoot yesterday?
Yes, we had an amazing time yesterday.
Thank you so much to the team that put it together. Thank you. We'll still give you a shout out next week.
Yeah.
It's important for us to just...
So we're keeping it a secret.
But it was an activity we did. And it was Michael's birthday! Happy birthday, Michael! Yes, he was in the UK.
Yes,
so she's not here, but we gotta say happy birthday to White
birthday,
Yenny Kuti, Grandma, sister of your view, the mama of your view. We love my role model. Our role model. I can't wear high shoes. I'm thinking, right, White can wear high shoes.
You can.
Right, you can wear it.
I mean, can look hot.
Exactly.
Working hard.
So we're so happy to celebrate YK. How are you doing, BC?
I'm okay. Today is day 3 of my water fast.
Hey, Father. When are you breaking?
9 p.m. today.
Ah, Father Lord.
Yeah.
So after all that work yesterday, you still didn't do anything?
I didn't eat.
And she doesn't feel like it.
No, I don't.
Oh, wow.
I can be dedicated. But my neck is still hurting seriously. So I think by Thursday, if it doesn't stop, I'll have to get to the hospital to check it. Yeah. I wore my, what do they call that necklace? Yes, yeah, I wore it. Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
3 days without food, just water?
Just water.
Wow, fantastic. That's dedication.
Yes.
Wow.
The body also would adjust, right?
You
don't feel hungry. Like she's starving. She's not
Right.
I'm not starving. I'm good. Yeah, I still have my energy.
So I tried what you said. She was telling me yesterday that when you bath with warm or hot water, you should shock your body by just pouring cold water. I tried that thing last night.
How was it?
I was shocked.
Yeah. This is a shock. Really.
I just was in warm water.
Yeah.
And then when I was done bathing, I just moved it to this side.
Yeah.
Cold water.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It charges up. Yeah, your nervous system.
So it tightens up.
Yeah. It boosts you.
After you've slept in your warm bed, go and have a very cold shower. I do that. I love it. I don't think I've had a warm shower in years.
Wow. Yeah. My daughter does that.
When I do have a shower with warm water, I just feel quite lethargic throughout the day. I feel quite revived and refreshed in the morning.
Oh, well, I think your body's just not used to it. I'm used to warm. Like I'm using warm water.
I grew up in Jos until we bath with hot water.
Yeah.
But cold water is better according to science. So she has a lot of strength to do that early in the morning because I get cold easily. So I just do that shock therapy.
My husband tries
to help me.
force it on my kids, and I really fight him. Please let the children bath in warm water. He's really annoying. Well, I mean, it's good to hear all this feedback. Okay, it's Wednesday. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. We borrowed for projects to create wealth, says Buhari. Tribunal orders consolidation of PDP, LP, APM petitions. 35 Ocean peoples faint after inhaling tear gas. Biden's team for Tinubu's inauguration. CBN axes 132 microfinance banks. Foreign students barred from bringing family members to the United Kingdom. And Bellamore President Jack Rich celebrates wife at 30. Okay.
Take the major headlines. So President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday gave a robust defense of his administration's 77 trillion debt. So according to him, he says the loans were largely used to fund capital projects for the people's benefit. He also explained that his focus on infrastructure was a deliberate action to create wealth and stem poverty. He also justified the closure of Nigeria's borders with neighboring countries and also the appointment of the Comptroller General of Customs. And this was, of course, at the inauguration of landmark projects of the outgoing government. I like that, okay, so they mentioned projects that he inaugurated virtually. He said the Ecom Bridge in Cross River State, local Oweto Bridge that links Nasarawa and Benue States, a section of the Kaduna-Kano Dual Carriageway, Federal Secretariat in Anambra, Bayelsa and Zamfara States, as well as Customs new headquarters building in Abuja. He also said that the funds were used to buoy economic development, create more employment, and make Nigerians prosperous. This part I like. He said the president emphasized that he shared the concerns of Nigerians over the debts and reminded them that the wealth of other nations was traceable to their investments and infrastructure. The wealth of the nations was traceable to investment in infrastructure made possible by debts that have been redeemed over decades. He says, as we look at the debt profile, I urge us to also look at the asset and investment profile, some of which were paid for by debt and some by investment income. And he goes ahead to mention
so you see the glass.
Yeah, so I like this. I took this story especially because it's important for us to write our own reports, our own story from our side. So I'm like, there's the difference between truth and fact. So the fact is he has listed this. So our truth will now be how it has affected us.
So you see
he has done this.
You see the glass half full or half empty. So he's saying that I'm halfway full, I've done this. And they're saying you put it into debt. So it's depending on how you look at it.
Perspective. Yes, so the UK government yesterday barred international students from bringing family members as dependents to the country in a move to cut immigration. We're still talking about we talked about. No, it was speculation at the time. It was an announcement, but now they have gone ahead to do it. And the changes will come into effect from January 2024. Now, under the new proposals, only students on longer postgraduate courses designated as research programs, such as the PhD, will be able to bring dependents to the UK while they study. Overseas students will be prevented from switching out of the student routes into work routes before their studies have been completed. There will also be improved and more enforcement activity and a clampdown on unscrupulous agents using education as a cover for immigration, according to the government. And they said the net migration has been steadily on the rise and is reportedly expected to hit a high record this year, and that is why they've tried to, cut down on it. And, they went ahead to explain that they know that they had done the strategy for a foreign education to empower their people economically, but it should not be at the expense of, getting a lot of people into their country where they're not able to cater for, and, it affects the public. They must not do it at the expense of their citizens. And
which is fair enough. We've discussed that several times. So 35 pupils of the Fakunle Comprehensive High School in Oshogbo were hospitalized after police had fired tear gas right next to their school. The 39th Squadron Division, located opposite the school alongside the Oshogbo Ikirun Road, they fired it in honor of their fallen comrades. So they were celebrating those of their comrades who had died in line of duty. And as it did, as it fired those shots, 35 of the pupils, which was exactly opposite, collapsed. Many of them were rushed to the hospital. And although the commissioner had said that the pupils are stabilized, but they need to also do the investigation because there got to be a new system of how do you celebrate your fallen heroes. Must you use tear gas? Because the gas affected the pupils.
But the Punch recorded it that it was a training that they were doing.
Oh.
Yes, no. I know they have different reports. You took the nation. And I was worried because they know that schools are around there. Shouldn't they have notified the schools not to come on that day so that they can do their tear gas training.
Somewhere else to do.
Go somewhere else. Go to like a like Eagle Square in Nigeria. Go to like a general place that you don't have to train.
They need to revisit
So
that.
there's got to be some. That's why there's an investigation to know
the wedding died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine the child had died. From one fallen hero to to the punch. Tribunal inauguration, security agencies raid hotspots. Biden names U.S. delegation. Panic in Australia as 35 people hospitalized after inhaling tear gas. Okay. CBI revokes 179 microfinance banks, other licenses. I'm also blamed Dangote relocated finally to Lagos, says Abiodun. Tribunal, Atiku will be tackled Tinubu as hearing begins on Tuesday. Okay, which story are we starting in Punch?
The major headline. So the United States President Joe Biden has announced a delegation that would attend the swearing-in of the former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu as the 16th President of Nigeria at the Eagle Square, Abuja on Monday. Says they will be having delegates, presidential delegation included charged affairs, U.S. Embassy Abuja, Mr. Green, David Green, United States Representative California, Sidney Kamlaga Dove, Under Secretary of Commerce for International Trade, U.S. Department of Commerce, Marisa Lago, General Commander of U.S. Africa Command, Michael E. Langley. They also expect the nation's 7th transition, the Director of U.S. Trade and Development Agency, Eno Ebong, Assistant Secretary of State for Bureau of African Affairs, U.S. Department of State, Mary Fee, Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for African Affairs, National Security Council, Jude Duvermont, and the Assistant Administrator for the Bureau of Africa, U.S. Agency for International Development, Monde Muyanga. So they went ahead to say that the federal government had tightened security across the Federal Capital Territory of the inauguration. Top security sources, are beginning to raid houses of criminals and thugs who would likely want to cause problems. So security is tight. Everybody is ready for this inauguration, and we'll have a peaceful one.
Okay, so Governor Japa has absolved himself of the blame. If you recall, the Dangote refinery was initially supposed to be located at the Olokola Free Trade Zone in Ogun State. In fact, that was the choice place for it to be relocated. But according to Governor Abiodun, the conversation broke down between the former Governor Amoson and Dangote. Maybe they had some kind of axe to settle, according to him. And the efforts of the governor was, the conversation broke down such that the Dangote now decided to move the refinery to Lagos. So it was just that it wasn't my fault, though. It was the former governor that they couldn't resolve the issue between them. Because now that Dangote refinery has been commissioned in Lagos, everybody is now wondering, how come this thing, what happened, So he was just absolving himself of that blame that it wasn't his fault. That
so
something
just
happened.
to other billionaires, maybe we just let them know that there's space in Ogun State
for them
have another one.
Establish their business.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes,
to
I have a story. So the Central Bank of Nigeria has revoked the licenses of 179 microfinance banks in the country, as well as 4 primary mortgage banks and 3 finance companies. So it's listed in the report. And the Gazette says that the reasons why these revocations happened were they were inactive, insolvent, failed to render returns, closed shop, or ceased to carry on the type of banking business for which they were licensed for more than 6 months in contravention of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act. And so, of course, the CBN governor revoked this. So I think it's important that people go and find out the names of these microfinance banks and financial institutions and mortgage banks, so, just so you're aware.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, And last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni, Yeni, Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger!
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I know I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
Eh?
I said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75.
I confirm.
Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepal.
Thanks for staying with us. Now we're moving on to Daily Sun. Buhari reveals secrets of certain decisions. Southeast governors named second Niger bridge after Buhari. UK's ban on Nigerian students taking families with them effective January 2024. Biden sends 9-man delegation to Tinubu's inauguration. Tribunal merges Atiku Obi APM petitions against Tinubu. And Kogi AG versus AGF, Supreme Court cautions against continued harassment of Kogi officials pending outcome of suit. Let me take the major headline because our president has about 6 days to go, or 6 or 5 days to go. And he's saying quite a bit. He's revealing some information.
Deep things.
Yes. He said that when he resumed, his first thing was to cement our relationship with Niger Republic, Chad, and Cameroon, because it was important for those countries to be at peace with us. He said also that he deliberately chose women to run the finance ministry. According to him, women, these politicians will never go and disturb women for contracts. You know, they respect themselves too much. They respect women too much to go and start, be asking and begging for contract. That he knew that women, Kemi Adeosun and Mrs. Zainab came from the previous administration, and Mrs. Zainab Ahmed should man the finance ministry because they'll give me a lot of peace. Says, I made sure I gave the ministry to Delhi to exploit the cultural behavior of Nigerians. He also said that the moment he leaves office, he's going to go far away from Abuja as possible, that he's going to Daura. If Nigerians are giving him trouble, he knows that Nigerians will support him and defend him. That he's trying as much as possible to go as far away from Abuja, that his village is in Daura, he doesn't have any business with Abuja. I came from an area which is very far away. He said quite a bit of things. He was talking about all this infrastructure he's put in place, the debt. He's had to get money to build infrastructure. These are things he has done. So he's just giving us an insight into his decision,
his own report,
why he made certain decisions. Any other story in Sun?
fate Friday in a first suit seeking to stop his inauguration. So the Abuja division of the Federal High Court will on Friday rule on a first suit seeking to stop the May 29 inauguration of the president-elect. And they said Justice James Omotosho will specifically pronounce on whether or not his court has jurisdiction to adjudicate on the matter. The applicants are Praise Ilemonda Isaiah, Pastor Paul Isaac Audu, and Dr. Anongu Moses. And the defendants are the president, that's President Muhammadu Buhari, the president-elect, APC, AGF, DSS, INEC, Inspector General. And what they're saying, their own argument is that that even though the president-elect was billed to be sworn in May 29, they found out that they uncovered that he, contrary to the affidavit he deposed to INEC, besides being a Nigerian, he was also a citizen of Guinea Republic, therefore committing the offense of perjury, amongst others. So they're just saying that this is the suit before the court and would hear, eventually what the court decides.
Yeah, so members of Apple Traders Association, ATAS, in Abuja yesterday staged a protest and blocked the main entrance of the Federal Capital Territory Minister, demanding the release of land lease agreements to their permanent site. So the protesters had a lot of placards with them saying that the Federal Capital Territory Administration had granted them a lease on a land proposed as a permanent site for their traders in 2015. But up to date, the minister has refused to sign and formally release the agreements. They said, that's according to the chairman of the association, Chimezie Ife. He said that the traders have spent more than 100 million naira to process the land. They have held several meetings with no relevant authorities and no positive result was achieved. And he said the association was suspicious of the moves of some of the Federal Capital Territory minister or people who had made some strange demands and they tried to distort the allocation. He alleged that trading by the road, so now because they've not gotten the permanent site, most of the traders have been by the road as a temporary measure, but it's not working. It's very hazardous to members of the association. Some of them are being killed, commuters usually take that road as well, and that is not working for them. So he's calling on the minister to sign and release the agreement before leaving office in a few days' time in order to save the traders from untold hardship. And they'll be looking forward to getting the minister signed. They don't understand why there's a delay in that signing. Yeah.
Thank God. Major headline, after May 29th, Nigeria Republic would defend Mrs. Buhari. Supreme Court cautions against harassment of Kogi officials. Biden announces 9-man delegation for Tinubu's inauguration. Will be prudent with the 115 billion naira bond, says Sanwo-Olu. Assault on police, Seun Kuti released on bail. We found oil where others ran away, says NNPC. And presidential poll, court merges Atiku Obi APM's petitions for hearing May 30th. Okay, let me take up on Sanwo-Olu's story. So yesterday marked a very important milestone for the government of Lagos State because they were able to secure 115 billion naira sukuk, 115 billion naira bond, and also sukuk funds. According to the governor, they would use these monies to deliver infrastructural, economic, and social progress to the people of the state. And also, he said that they will specifically ensure that the bond and sukuk will enable various MDAs such as the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Office of the Drainage and Water Resources to execute projects that would actually better the lives of Nigerians. So that's good information for Lagos State because that means they need a lot of money to do infrastructural projects.
Yeah. So in Maiduguri, NNPCL has commenced an oil drilling campaign at the Wadi B located in Jere local government. So they're saying that Nigeria's hopes of increasing its crude oil reserves has received a fresh boost as, they'll be drilling in that area. They said that they had stopped drilling in '95 in that particular area because of successes were weak and findings made during the period were not in commercial quantity. But they just went back to the drawing board and realized that they just had to understand the basin very well. And so that they are back and they're optimistic that this would really help, boost our crude oil reserves. So it looks like the whole of Nigeria will be drilling everywhere.
So Afrobeat singer Seun Kuti was yesterday released on bail from police custody 7 days after he reported himself at the State Criminal Investigation Department, Panti, Yaba, Lagos, over the assault allegation against him. Now, before his release last night, his lawyers, Mr. Adeyinka Olumide Fusika and Mr. Kunle Adegoke, had hinted that he will be released yesterday, having met all the conditions of his bail. There were a lot of his friends and supporters jubilating outside the police station immediately he was released, and I think there was a viral video too that went ahead. But the human rights lawyers and activists yesterday kicked against the maltreatment of the Afrobeat musician by the police. They said they had a court hearing over the assault charges filed against them by the police before a chief magistrate court, but he was not present. That they're suspecting there's a plan to stall the the case, and we know that the court had May 15th arraigned him, and he was supposed to be detained for 48 hours, but they moved it again. They added an additional 4 days, saying that they wanted to conclude investigation. And then when it was time for them to appear in court yesterday, the magistrate was reportedly on a training, and so activists are saying that this is an ill treatment meted out to their client, and he was not supposed to have that sort of treatment. But they are still waiting to see how the case goes.
Okay. Our final paper, Nigerian Tribune, why are closed borders banned rice importation, says Buhari. Nigerian students, others can no longer take family to the UK from January. Horse trading may accommodate the North Central. Let's find another story. Prepare for pandemic worse than COVID-19, WHO warns. 14.3 million Nigerians ages 15 to 64 engage in drug abuse, says NDLEA. How I want to be buried, Ulubara of Ibara. Okay.
Let me take NDLEA. So the chairman of NDLEA on Tuesday in Abuja at the annual public lecture organized by NICO, gave lamented, as they said, that more than 14.3 million Nigerians aged 15 to 64 years use psychoactive substances other than alcohol and tobacco. And of course, he says this constitutes grave danger for the future of the youth of the country. He also gave us some other data. He says 1 out of every 4 drug users is female, that's a woman. 1 in 5 drug user is suffering, the effects of using these psychoactive substances, either mentally, or things that come with it. He says, but the use of drug is prevalent